Beautiful people, welcome to the best sports show out. Episode 89 is on your screen. You're watching Highly Opinionated. I'm your co-host, Josh. Ladies and gentlemen, working with the best co-host in the game, the host of the Club JG podcast, obviously co-host here on Highly Opinionated, my good friend, my good brother. What's up, JG? How you doing, bro?
Oh, man, what's going on with you, bro?
I'm good, man. How are you? Everything good?
I'm doing great, man. I can't complain.
Can't complain at all. We're getting ready for the NBA draft. NBA draft is Tuesday night. Looking forward to the NBA draft. See, you got the weekend shirt. My man already just skipping past Monday. Already looking forward to Friday and Saturday. I feel you, brother. I get you, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are blessed to have the most important guy, Highly Opinionated, return to show his lovely face to you guys. The most important man. What's up, Ross? How you doing, my brother?
I'm good. How you feeling, Josh?
Good, man. Always good to be in your presence. Always good to have you back on camera, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was good to be back.
Absolutely. We want to thank you guys for watching episode 88 last week. We had a great interview with the great Matt Haley. Shout out to Matt. He's doing wonderful things. If you haven't checked that interview out, make sure you go to our YouTube page and check that out. Speaking of that, Ross, let them know where they could go at and follow us on our social medias.
Yes, sir. Y'all can follow us on Instagram at Highly Opinionated __. Follow us on TikTok at Highly Opinionated _SS. Follow us on Twitter or X at Highly O_SS. And of course, y'all already on YouTube, so make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
Like, subscribe, leave a comment. You guys make Highly Opinionated what it is. Again, I proclaim it to be the best sports show out. You guys make it that. We appreciate all the love. We appreciate all the support. JG, my brother, we have a jam-packed episode 89 in store for the people. So you ready to get episode 89 started, my brother?
Absolutely. Let's go, bro.
Let's work, bro. Let's start off episode 89 with two congratulations are in orders. First, the 2026 UFL champions. They won the 2026 United Bowl. Congratulations to the Louisville Kings. They defeated the DC Defenders 27-21. John, you'll remember this name. The Louisville Kings head coach is Chris Redmond, former Baltimore Ravens quarterback. Yes, he is he won the UFL championship. The MVP of the United Bowl was Ian Wheeler. He had 10 carries, 81 yards, and a touchdown in the game. So congratulations to the Louisville Kings. This was their first season ever in the UFL, and they end that first season with a UFL championship. Our next celebration, next topic, next congratulations in order to a champion. The 2026 U.S. Open winner, Wyndham Clark. He won the 2026 U.S. Open. He won it wire to wire. He's the 23rd man to win multiple U.S. Open championships. This is his second U.S. Open. He won the U.S. Open with a -4 score. The next major championship is the Open Championship in Southport, England. That will be July 16th through the 19th. Looking forward to the next major championship. Once again, congratulations to Wyndham Carter on winning the 2026 United States Open Championship. Let's move on. CJ McCollum, JG. CJ McCollum re-signs with the Atlanta Hawks, a one-year deal. A 1-year extension, $21 million deal, plus a trade kicker. So if he gets traded, there'll be a kicker in his contract. Your thoughts on CJ McCollum re-signing with the Atlanta Hawks?
Definitely a move that makes sense for the veteran. Atlanta came off I think an overachieving season. We didn't really know what this Hawks team is going to look like. They started playing really good basketball after trading away Trae Young, turning the team over to Jalen Johnson. CJ McCollum ended up being that really good veteran that you needed, especially in your backcourt, providing leadership for this younger team. So it makes a lot of sense on both sides. This is a good move for CJ McCollum, but also great for the Hawks as they try to take that next step, from where they started ending last season with the playoff loss versus the Knicks.
Absolutely. So the Atlanta Hawks, they're in a unique position because the Atlanta Hawks, they have the 8th pick. They have the 23rd pick in the first round of the 2026 NBA draft. Then they have the 57th pick in the draft. So they're one of multiple teams that can package the 2 first-round picks to move up to select the player that they want, etc. Move down. They can play the board however they want to. If you look at the Atlanta Hawks roster and projected lineup next year, you'll have Trae Young. I say Trae Young. Excuse me. You'll have C.J. McCollum starting at the point guard. You'll have Dyson Daniels. You'll have Jalen Johnson. You'll have Aneka. I can't pronounce the center's name.
Okongwu.
Thank you. You'll have Aneka Okongwu, and probably at the 3 position, just looking at it, you'll have. You'll have Nickeil Alexander-Walker at the 2, Dyson Daniels at the 3, Jalen Johnson at the 4, and Okongwu at the 5. They traded for Aaron Wiggins from Oklahoma City. They got they traded 2 second-round picks for him, so I like that addition to the Atlanta Hawks. They have a team option on Jonathan Kuminga, so we'll have to see what they do with that. I've been hearing talks about the Hawks maybe in play for New Orleans Pelicans forward Trey Murphy. I like that move for the Hawks. They might have to give up the 8th pick. So the Hawks are in a unique position, but to me, this was a no-brainer to re-sign C.J. McCollum. They traded for C.J. McCollum on January 9th, 2026, so earlier this year. The day they traded for C.J. McCollum, they beat the Denver Nuggets 110-87. At that point in time, the Atlanta Hawks were 19. They were 19-21. They ended the season they ended the season 46-36. So from the day they traded for C.J. McCollum, they finished. They went 27-15 on pace. That's a 3-4 seed in the Eastern Conference. If there was an 82 game sample size, obviously it's not an 82 game sample size, but let's play it out hypothetically. That's at worst a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. They were the 6th seed this year in the Eastern Conference. They were 46-36. They won the Southeast Division. I get it. It's the Eastern Conference. I get it. But a division, when you're 19-21 at a certain point in the season, you're just trying to keep your head above water. They ended the season winning the championship, winning their division, losing in the first round to the New York Knicks. You can make a case they gave the New York Knicks. I know the Spurs played them tough, but they took the Knicks to the longest series in 6 games. Every other series for the Knicks ended in 4 games, and 5 games. So I like what the Hawks have done. Let's see what they do with that 8th pick. Let's see what they do with the 23rd pick. Very interested to see what the Hawks do draft night.
You said they picked up Aaron Wiggins from the Thunder, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a sneaky big pickup, especially to bolster their bench. Aaron Wiggins is capable of going off at any given time coming off the bench, so I think he's going to be a very welcome addition to that, especially offensively for the Hawks.
What this move does with them getting Aaron Wiggins, that tells me that there might be some trouble with Zachary Ricochet with the Atlanta Hawks just cracking the rotation, let alone playing.
You can see that. Yeah, you can see that. The writing's been on the wall for Zach for I think really most of this season. I don't believe he really fits with this team at all, and I can see him being traded very soon rather than later.
I agree with that 1,000%. Congratulations, CJ. Good luck to you next season in Atlanta. John, let's move on to some breaking news. Breaking news that happened. The Dallas Mavericks have their new head coach. His name is Dusty May. Dusty May leaves Michigan, where he just recently won a national championship. He leaves that job and takes the Dallas Mavericks head coaching job. I'll start us off with this. For me, I'm not surprised that Dusty May left college and went to the NBA. If you think about it, to me, I think it's easier to coach in the NBA than it is in college. Because in the NBA, you don't have to re-recruit your players. If like, for example, like if a player's getting traded, he's getting traded. Okay, fine. You understand that's part of the business. In college, you have to re-recruit your players just for them to come back the next season. So if you have a freshman, you have to re-recruit them as a sophomore. If you're a sophomore, you have to re-recruit them as a junior. You're going to have to re-recruit the same guy 4 or 5 times. If he stays, no one stays in college 4 or 5 years, but I'm just saying at the same school 4 or 5 years. But if he stays that long, you have to re-recruit. So I love the move for Dusty May. And let me say this. Yes, I think in the last 10 years, in my opinion, Victor Wembanyama is the best number 1 pick in the draft since 2000. I think Victor Wembanyama is the best number 1 pick in the draft since 2003. LeBron James went to number 1 in 2003. I think Victor Wembanyama is the second. If we rank all the number 1 picks, he would be second. Dwight Howard would be in that conversation. Cooper Flagg, I think, will enter that conversation. That's why I can't fault Dusty May for taking it. You get to me, we throw around the word generational player. Cooper Flagg, to me, is a generational player. You can't turn that down. You've already won what you need to win in college. You won the national championship. And let me just talk about his career arc. He started off as an assistant coach at Eastern Michigan 2005, 2006, assistant coach at Murray State 2006, 2007, assistant coach at UAB 2007, 2009, assistant coach at Louisiana Tech 2009 to 2015, Florida assistant coach 2015 to 2018, Florida Atlantic coach 2018 to 2024, where they made that magical Final Four run, and the Michigan coach 2024 to 2026, and he'll be the Dallas Mavericks coach. So to me, I love the move. I love him getting out there. You won the national championship in college. There's nothing else to prove. Jump to the NBA. You have a generational player, and this gives the Dallas Mavericks a leg up, especially on the Michigan players in this draft. Dallas is another team that has multiple picks in this NBA, in the 2026 NBA draft.
The age of 4 to 5 year college players is a dying breed. We can say the same thing about long tenured head coaches in NCAA. It's becoming a dying breed. The Tom Izzo's, the Nick Sabans of the world in football. You know, Gary Williams once upon a time with Maryland, Mike Krzyzewski with Duke. I think the age of long tenured basketball coaches is becoming a dying breed like players. And this is the latest example. Like you said, Josh, I 100% agree with you. The NBA, as the great Seth Greenberg had said earlier on ESPN, it's an easier pathway to coach the NBA versus college. Everything you just said, you have to change your team, recruit your team every year because you don't know if you're going to get the guys to come back, even though they're freshmen and sophomores. You have to re-recruit your team. In the NBA, there's contracts, there's guardrails, there's year-long contracts with a salary cap. The NCAA is basically 1 year deals, and it's total chaos because it's being ran by a bunch of no names that don't know what they're doing, named the NCAA board. So, of course, you're going to have chaos. In the NBA, there's a commissioner, there's a structure there, there's a salary cap, like I said. There's guidelines so you know what you're going to get. Can you trade players? Sure. Can you cut players? Sure. But by and large, you understand what you're walking into as a coach year by year. And this is a great opportunity for Dusty May, and it's a great opportunity for Cooper Flag. I think, and this is no knock against Jason Kidd. I think Jason Kidd is still a very good coach and should get another coaching job somewhere else. But Masai Ujiri, the new GM for the Dallas Mavericks, he's clearly going in a new direction. Clearly wants to reset this team, so to speak, and build around their superstar in Cooper Flag, who I'm with you, is definitely, in my opinion, a generational talent. Well on his way to being a perennial all-star, in my opinion, if he doesn't make it by next year. But this move also tells me, it points me to Kyrie Irving. It's what's going to happen there next. Because everything that we've seen, think about it. After Nico Harrison left, Masai Ujiri comes in, Jason Kidd's gone. Now, Anthony Davis has been traded. All this stuff has gone on. I wonder if Kyrie Irving is that next piece that's going to get moved to continue to collect draft picks and continue to build this team and turn it over to Cooper Flag and really make it his team. Because Kyrie Irving, although he's capable of being a good Robin, he's still a very good player that you can get a good draft capital from. So when I saw this move, my mind went to Kyrie. Like, is Kyrie going to stick around to play for a college coach who has not coached in the NBA, along with a young Cooper Flag? And it's still a relatively young Dallas Mavericks team. So it's going to be interesting what happens next. I don't think Dallas is done yet, but I do like this move for Dusty May. It makes sense, especially in the landscape of basketball today, especially with college going to the NBA. And I think this could be the beginning of, dare I say, a trend. And I may get more than that in Club JG.
Can't wait to listen to Club JG to hear you elaborate more on that, my brother. Let me say this. This might be a Michigan thing. So remember John Beli? He left Michigan, went to the NBA, had one bad year. He moved up. I think it was the Detroit Pistons, moved up to the front office. Took some front office type role with the Pistons. I just think, again, for me, Seth Greenberg said it, it's just easier to coach in the NBA. And when you have generational type players, it's kind of hard to turn that job down. I put it like this: whoever a coach thinks is a generational player. Like, for example, I can't say John Shire doesn't think Cooper Flag is a generational player. I put like, if John Shire won a national championship, he would have been the Dallas Mavericks head coach. If he won the championship, he would have been the coach. So you have to finish what you started. Dusty May has done that. John Shire did not do that, and that's why John Shire remains where he remains, and that's why Dusty May took the job at Dallas. The Dallas Mavericks has the 9th pick and the 30th pick in the first round of 2026 NBA draft. JG, our last topic for sports news. Jeffrey Simmons from the Tennessee Titans. He re-signed with the Titans. He signed a deal that made him the highest paid, agreed to a deal making him the highest paid defensive tackle in NFL history. 3 years, $105.8 million extension with $100 million guaranteed. That deal was negotiated by the great Ty France and AJ Stevens of Athletes First. JG, I'll let you start us off with this topic, my brother. Your thoughts on Jeffrey Simmons re-signing with the Tennessee Titans?
Another move that makes perfect sense. Jeffrey Simmons has been a staple of that Titans defense, for multiple years. You're coming in with a new regime and Robert Saleh. You need a guy that's an established veteran that your younger players can look up to and follow behind. And Jeffrey Simmons, definitely advocates for what Robert Saleh wants to do. He wants to be a tough, hard-nosed defensive team in Tennessee as he tries to turn his franchise around with his young quarterback in Cam Ward. One of the staples that I think every young team needs, especially with a new head coach, you got to establish the line of scrimmage. Now, we'll see what Tennessee has offensively as far as their offensive line going forward. You got Cam Ward, a nice weapon in the draft. But Jeffrey Simmons, I think, is a guy that you had to keep here. You had to make sure that he stays and keeps some stability there. It's on the defensive side of the ball because we know how Robert Saleh wants to play. He's a defensive-minded coach. He wants to establish his imprints with this defense. But you need a captain and you need a guy that has been there and kind of understands how to lead that squad. And Jeffrey Simmons, I think, embodies that. So good move by Tennessee. And very easy move for me if I'm Jeffrey Simmons.
Jeffrey Simmons last season was the best defensive tackle in the league. Smart move by the Titans. He had 67 tackles, second most in his career. He had 11 sacks, the most in his career. He had 3 forced fumbles, the most in his career. He's like Robert Saleh is the new head coach, defensive coordinator. The new defensive coordinator is Gus Bradley. So you're coming in with 2 smart defensive minds that understand the game of defense. They want to make the defense, like as you said, JG, the Titans want to dominate the game in the line of scrimmages. Offensive line, defensive line. To me, as I said before, Simmons is the best. Simmons played and was the best defensive tackle in the NFL last season. Smart move by them. Now it's about, can the Titans take the next step? I don't necessarily think the Titans are a playoff contender this year. Would not surprise me if they were. I don't necessarily have them making the playoffs this year, but I definitely think you'll see a gradual drop. They won 4 games last season. They can definitely win 6 to 7 games this season, for sure, in my opinion.
I agree.
Congratulations to Jeffrey Simmons re-ing up with the Tennessee Titans. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Highly Opinionated. We will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of Highly Opinionated is brought to you by W.O.W. Enjoy the heightened experience of THC edibles in a whole new way. At W.O.W, our freeze-dry edibles available in 100 milligram, 200 milligram, 300 milligram, 400 milligram will give you the buzz you crave with a flavor you won't forget. Available in 3 different flavors: watermelon sunset, tropical fruit, and berry. To place orders, please visit the website at ediblyherry.com. While you're there at ediblyherry.com, use a promotion code. You guys see the promotion code on the screen. $ Highly Airy, $. Again, $ Highly Airy, $ for 20% off your first purchase. Follow us on IG at Edibly Airy for new product releases and monthly hookups. Must be 21 and over to purchase. Edibly Airy, the best freeze-dry edibles out. Go shop. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Highly Opinionated. As you can see, I have a very special guest. He is the co-owner of Triple Play Fantasy, a sports podcast and fantasy points media group. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the great Eric to Highly Opinionated. Welcome to the show, Eric.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
You guys are too kind.
Too kind.
Yeah. Did your research too?
Yes, sir. We do research on this show. Wow. We do it. I know that's unheard of in 2026. You do research on people. That's sick, right?
I mean, that's the thing. You didn't even use ChatGPT because that wouldn't even pick stuff up like that. That's some good old-fashioned pen and paper there.
You can never go wrong with pen and paper. You can never go wrong with pen and paper. Never. ChatGPT John will tell you, chat GPT will get you in trouble. I can't even say the letters, so it'll definitely get you in trouble. All right, man. We appreciate you for coming on the show. Thank you for blessing us with your presence, man. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
Absolutely. JG, I'll let you start us off, man.
Hey, man, so just give us like a quick history about just Triple Play. Tell us more about that podcast.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously you guys starting a podcast of your own, and I feel like as sports fans, you kind of just, it's already been an organic in the making, right? Like you're always talking sports with your friends, whether it's fantasy or whether it's, just the regular season. And then when COVID kind of hit, we were like, well, let's try this out. So we did a little bit of research, looked into the different platforms, and very choppy at first. But as we started to do more shows, the repetition got better, the flow started coming. And then, we just started to ask guests, and that's really like, then people would spread the word. And, what kind of started out as like, all right, let's just try this as a joke, or let's just see what happens. I heard a stat that 98% of podcasts don't make it past episode 2. So the fact that you guys are on episode 89, that shows that you guys are actually beating the vast majority. So, once you start to get that momentum, people want to join, you start getting people on your podcast, athletes, media personnel, and that really fuels you. And at the end of the day, like, we're talking sports with our friends and people that we respect in the industry. So it never really felt like work. Obviously, like editing and making graphics, that can be a little tedious, but when you're on there recording, it doesn't feel like any sort of work at all.
And that's the best. And that's the best. That's how you know you're having fun. It's funny you mentioned that stat. Like, I remember when I started Club JG, I honestly did not see myself going past the 10 episodes. I'm sitting here like over 200 episodes later, still going. So, and again, it's like you said, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like, look, it's just a hobby. It's something fun we do. We talk about sports, something we know about. So I didn't know that stat, but that's awesome.
Yeah. So I got to ask, I mean, Club JG and Highly Opinionated, is there a conflict of interest there?
Never that, man. We're here to support each other. Josh comes on my show, I come on his. We're here to support each other.
I love that.
Absolutely. Nah, listen, for me, creating Highly Opinionated, obviously I have to give a shout out to Ross, the editor, producer extraordinaire, and obviously Tim. Tim was my first. Tim is the guy I do the show with during the football season. Was my first partner. Without these guys, Highly Opinionated wouldn't be what it is. And all right, listen to your stat about most episodes don't get to past episode 2. Again, looking at episode 89, JG on over 200 episodes. You yourself, what you guys do at Triple Play. Like, I'm around podcast royalty right now. You feel me? Because all you guys that made it past episode 2. So that's definitely motivation for me. And like you said, you just want to get the right guests on at the right time, spread the word, spread the news, and go at it from there.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing about sports, like, there's always something to talk about. So it's not as much like, oh, what are we going to talk about today? It's you're kind of reacting to the news and giving your own spin on it.
Absolutely, for sure. Let's talk about the guys, the crew that you work with at Triple Play Fantasy. Talk about those guys.
Yeah, I mean, so my brother and I, like, we play in almost every fantasy league together, and it was us the idea. Him and I are kind of movers and shakers, whether it's organizing like a Thanksgiving football game or organizing fantasy league. And so we were really the ones that did it. And, he kind of came up with the show sheet and was hosting, and I started growing the socials. We were both reaching out to people on social media. And then, our friends, which this is how you're successful. The friends that are making fun of you are then the ones that want to come on your podcast. And so, we just kind of started with like local guests. And then, I mean, we just started trying with bigger athletes, right? And the worst they can say is no, or the worst they can do is not get back to you. But you'd be surprised. And times have changed because a lot of athletes and media personnel have their own podcasts, even active players. But we were very fortunate to do it at the time where that wasn't the landscape. And to, just treat people like we're talking together now, not, fanboy over them. And, at one point we had, 16 people working with us because we never want to say they were working for us. We're a group together. Nobody was really making a lot of money from it, but there was a belief in a vision that we could help grow this. And, we had some good sponsorships with Manscaped, with Shady Rays, with Underdog Fantasy. We talked to over 100 media personnel and guests. That Danny Woodhead jersey back in the background, he signed for me after coming on the podcast. So, it's and we live in a time now where like we can do this virtually, and it's the biggest thing is just coordinating schedules, right?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, man. So I want to get into some basketball with you. I know that you're a massive Wizards fan. The draft is here. NBA season's over. Knicks are champions. Let's let that sink in for a second. The New York Knicks are NBA champions.
53 years. 53 years, sir. 53
that's
years.
one thing. But we're here at the draft. The Wizards have the number 1 overall pick. AJ DeBonta is expected to be the number 1 overall pick. There's been rumblings about could the Wizards trade this pick? Go get Giannis. Could Utah swoop in and get the Utah kid AJ DeBonta possibly? What is the correct? I mean, not to mention like Anthony Davis it's been questionable. Does he want to stay long term?
Yeah.
Trae Young declined his option to be a free agent, though he wants to stay with the Wizards. What do you see this summer for DC? Like, how do you see this playing out?
So the Wizards front office has been probably top 3 in the last 3 years from an asset management perspective, getting rid of Beal's contract and being able to essentially like shed our entire salary cap and buy low on Trae Young and Anthony Davis. I mean, we didn't have to give up any picks of our own. We had to give up CJ McCollum, who was on an expiring contract. And really, AJ Johnson was the highlight of the Anthony Davis trade. But now we're in a position where we have to make moves. I understand Trae Young opting out, and I would be okay re-signing him to like a 3-year, $110 million deal, front-loading that since the Wizards have salary cap space. I think if Utah really wants DeBonta, I would consider doing 1 and 2 swap this year and then trading Trae Johnson and Ace Bailey as part of it. So you're really just swapping 1 pick in each draft. But if we don't, I would say we draft DeBonta. We hope that Trae Young will do that 3-year, 110 mil. Anthony Davis has 62 mil this year, and then he has a player option, or he has a team option. If the Wizards aren't doing well during the season and there's a contender that wants to trade a couple first for Anthony Davis, that's good asset management. We have his contract off the books. We have a good young core of Sarr, of Keyshawn George. We'll see if Koulibaly is part of their future, but their draft pick this year. But we got to start spending now. And whether that's locking up guys for the future or having core pieces in place, we've had 64 losses or more the last 3 seasons. And a lot of it has been due to poor draft luck. We've always had like a 5th or 6th pick and missed out on the Flags, on the Wembys. But now that we have number 1 in a really good draft, whether we go DeBonta or Peterson, and I do lean DeBonta slightly, we have to start building.
I mean, one of the more crucial summers that I can remember for this team, a franchise that, like you said, has not seen much success over the past, really the past decade when you think about it, since the John Wall, Bradley Beal years. So you think DeBonta is a clear-cut, like, no-brainer number 1 pick, or do you think there could be, like, a surprise with that first pick?
Yeah, and I mean, John, the struggles go past this past decade, right? The Wizards haven't made a conference finals since they won the championship in the late 70s. They haven't had a 50-win season in over 30 years, which is the only team to not do that. So, I mean, there are higher expectations than probably ever before. I worry about Darren Peterson's just conditioning and cramps. I think Darren Peterson has a higher ceiling. He's had the best of DeBonta in some matchups, but I think that will also depend on what Trae Young does. If Trae Young was to sign with Miami, I'm okay more taking Darren Peterson because he's that ball handler. He's that scoring type. I think DeBonta would fit in well with the team we have now. He's versatile. He has a long wingspan, which matches up with Sarr and AD at the 4 and 5, and AD can play the 4, which he's on record saying he prefers doing. Koulibaly is a good defender, kind of mirroring that Milwaukee blueprint, right? When they won, where they just had guys with long wingspans, Drew Holiday, Middleton, Giannis. That's when they had Brook Lopez kind of shift his game a little bit.
Bobby Portis.
Yeah, Bobby Portis. So I think with the current build we have, DeBonta would fit in better, and we don't need him to be the number 1 option right away. But if Trae Young leaves, I'm more okay with the Darren Peterson pick.
Yeah, I like the comparison of Milwaukee, of them building that championship team up to what the Wizards might be trying to do with the length and the athleticism. Also, they had a gritty defending PJ Tucker, who was just grind and dirty, who could take the best player out, especially in the playoffs where they let you play a little bit more physical. So as far as the Wizards, for me, I think. See, it's kind of hard. You mentioned that about Peterson. The problem with that about Trae Young is that the draft is before free agency. So really, in essence, like I know the Giannis thing is like taking over the world, and I'll ask your thoughts on that in a second. But like I know that's taking over the world, but I just want people to know the draft is this Tuesday. So the free agency doesn't start until after the draft. So Trae Young hypothetically can opt out of his contract and say, I want to re-sign with the Wizards. Miami can strike out on Giannis Antetokounmpo. They can strike out on Ja Morant. And then now they are kind of like forced to get Trae Young. So we never know how these things work. Remember, let's go back to the DeAndre Jordan situation. He was going to sign with the Dallas Mavericks. The Clippers locked him in his house. They locked him in the house. So he wouldn't sign the contract. So crazier things have happened in NBA free agency. I agree with you, Eric, though. I think the number one pick. I think the most talented player in this draft, to me is Caleb Wilson. Now, that does not necessarily mean you're going to go number one. Darren Peterson he got the cramp situation. We saw what he did at Kansas. We know what he represents. AJ DeBasa, scoring machine. More likely than not, he'll go number one. I like AJ DeBasa going number one to the Wizards. Like you said, length, you have him. If they keep AD, you have AD, and you have Alex Sarr. That's a very tall front court lineup. It reminds me of what Utah will put out next season with Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson, and Walker Kessler if they can re-sign restricted free agent Walker Kessler.
Yeah, I just saw that Walker Kessler turned down the latest long-term deal that Utah offered, so that could be a developing situation.
Yeah, that could be tough.
Yeah. Well, some team is going to trick them into saying, oh, well, he can guard Wemby, and you need Walker Kessler to stop them, and he'll get overpaid, and then he'll have a really good agent. It's crazy because he's coming off a torn labrum, too, where he played 3 games this season. So
yeah, he missed a lot of the season, absolutely. Definitely. My bad. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, Josh, to your point of free agency starting later, so Trae Young officially opts out on Monday. But there's always that tampering period.
Yeah.
Right? Like obviously the DeAndre Jordan situation can happen where it's a verbal commitment. But also think of Trae Young's market during the trade deadline. Nobody wanted it. Nobody was even willing to give up a draft pick for him. And he played 5 games for the Wizards. It's crazy to think that he would have a huge market after not having anything 6 months ago. And now he's going to want a multi-year deal.
So this is where the one thing I disagree with. And
okay.
You guys know
good. First disagreement of the day.
You guys know this. You guys love sports, know sports very, very well. If I can sign you at what I want to sign you for, that's different than me trading an asset for you. For example, just hit me up. Let's say Miami strikes out on Giannis. Okay. Let's say they strike out on Kawhi Leonard. Now Trae Young is a free agent. He's more appealing than me trying to have to trade 3, 4, 5 picks to get Giannis or Kawhi Leonard, or if those guys that went to other destinations. So that's my only point of the Trae Young thing about, of course, the Wizards want him back. They said Mark Spears from Anscape ESPN said that he'll be more likely than not come back to the Wizards. But to me, my mentality is, and John, you know me well to know this, I'm going to use this. You see this right here? Until here's this, we just talking. That's how I look at life. Until this, we just talking.
Josh, let me push back because we're in a good old-fashioned debate right now. How many teams do you think Trae Young has as suitors? Because I think Miami is one if they strike out on Giannis and other free agents.
Okay. It would be hard, but maybe it could be a sign and trade. Minnesota, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they need a point guard. They need something that they could infuse just in case they strike out on Ja Morant or they strike out on Kyrie Irving. So to me, it's a lot of what is the phrase I'm trying to find? It's a lot of unsolved things we're trying to solve. You feel me? So if we have a more clear picture, I could tell you it could be 0. But you know this, it only takes one suitor for you to be wanted. And my point is, if Miami strikes out, they'll want it.
I said there's a few. Miami, I agree with you on. I said Milwaukee potentially, but would he want to go there? Same with Brooklyn because they have the cap space. Pelicans have the cap space, but would he want to go there? I actually think the best fit for Trae Young would be Houston. I don't know how they would make that work, and I don't know if they would be suitors for it, but obviously they needed ball handling this year. They need a little bit more spacing. They have some good defenders, Min Thompson, Şengün, but you saw they relied on 37 37-year-old Kevin Durant to get most of their offense going. And Trae Young's actually really good for that. And they have the people that can cover up for his defensive efficiencies, assuming Steven Adams comes healthy again. They keep a lot of that same core. Once again, I don't think they'll get him.
My only concern about that with Houston is like, okay, now you got Trae Young and Reed Shepard, two guys that can shoot, that can kind of initiate offense, but then they become a defensive liability. What do you do with Reed Shepard? Do you diminish his minutes for Trae Young? Do you explore trading Reed Shepard? Like, what do you do there?
I mean, I would see what the market is for him, but I would also keep him as a bench piece. Like, I think he could be a very valuable bench piece, and I don't think you rush to have him in the starting lineup. I liked them on paper last year. I think injuries kind of hit, and if they were to get Van Fleet back, I'd have to look at their contract situation, but I think on paper Trae Young would make it work for them.
I never thought about Houston. I like Houston, but for me, Minnesota. I watched them in the playoffs against San Antonio specifically in the second round. You could just tell they needed someone to take some pressure off of Anthony Edwards. I think, and like you said, it'll be kind of hard because of the cap situation. Maybe I know they might not want to do this player for player, but Julius Randle and Trae Young. Now I know the Wizards might not want that. But
nobody wants Julius Randle, man.
But you can
nobody wants him.
Maybe you could trade him in the third. Maybe you could get him in a 3-team, 4-team trade and trade him. He could be traded to the Wizards and then routed elsewhere.
I can't think of one team that would want Julius Randle where him going makes their team better. I'm sorry.
No, I got you. Let's say this. He was traded from the Knicks. They just won the championship, and Minnesota is trying to do everything in their power to get rid of him. So I can't argue against you for Julius Randle. I won't do that. I won't spare myself that.
I mean, the player is one thing. That he's due $68 million over the next 2 years.
Why not Milwaukee? See if they can use Julius to get Giannis.
Nah. Because I want.
They tried it this year with Miles Turner.
Yeah, and I want young players, and I want assets. I want picks, and that's the best. The thing about Milwaukee now, the thing about trading a superstar now, it sucks because the original way of how you tanked, how you got better was you tanked. Well, it's kind of hard to do that now. You might be able to tank a year, then you got to put something out. Then you can't tank a year, put something out, then go back to tanking. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard to do that. We spoke on Giannis Antetokounmpo earlier. I thought I asked you your thoughts on. I said I would ask you your thoughts on Giannis Antetokounmpo. Your thoughts on where you think Giannis will go?
I mean, it's kind of annoying that we're doing the same song and dance with him that we've been doing for the last 2 years. I bet last summer that he would get traded to OKC to begin the season. And I knew that this wasn't going to end well. You can't have 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door. And I think he will always be celebrated in Milwaukee. He won them a championship. He put them in a national market. But they've also just not done a good job building around him. Giannis has been hurt. He's 31. He's coming off multiple calf strains this year. Like, Milwaukee would have best interest, and they're still going to get a royalty for him. But imagine if they had traded him a year and a half ago. Like, that would probably been an unprecedented return. I really think OKC can give the best offer for him. I think they took San Antonio to 7 without Jalen Williams. I think he would fit in defensively for them. They have a lot of picks. If they were to trade Jalen Williams and a couple other people, the salary caps match well. You saw AJ Mitchell, kind of step up this playoffs before injury. You could offload Lou Dort and kind of bump Cason Wallace into a starting role. Like, you started to see with OKC, they had different people stepping up, and there might be a point where there's too many mouths to feed. They have too many draft picks, and it's a good problem to have from Sam Presti, but you didn't even make it out of the West this year. And teams are going to get the thing about OKC now is they've played a lot of games. When you think about them going to the finals, when you think about them going to Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, that's additional wear and tear. And I think you need to beef up the roster. And if that means getting rid of some picks and Jalen Williams, then you do that. And that's probably the best, polished player that Milwaukee could get in a deal right now.
Also, to make your point about the games that they're playing, they're Oklahoma City best player during the summertime every 4 years. He's in the Olympics. So that's even more wear and tear on his body. He's the best player. The one person I know you said Jalen Williams. To me, if Oklahoma City was to do this trade, I'm not offering Jalen Williams. I'm offering number 7.
Thank you.
What we need what we need to do, we didn't lose. Oklahoma City didn't lose the series entirely because of Victor Wembanyama. But let me say this: if I got somebody that can make Victor Wembanyama work, or that should help free up the other guys. And we saw that Chet in Game 7. Chet, respect. I would love to have Chet Holmgren on this show, so I'm gonna be respectful in this disrespect that I'm about to spew to him. He was just running up the court for cardio in Game 7. The man took 2 shots. I could have did that. I go outside and take 3 shots a day. Like, come on now, that's crazy. So,
but the thing is, I don't think Milwaukee would take Chet back.
Oh yeah, I know
because his trade value is tanked.
So what about this offer? I know it's around Chet, so I know your thoughts on him right now because his value is low. We get that. Same thing with De'Aaron Fox. If the Spurs wanted to trade De'Aaron Fox, his value is low right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get back to what his all-star value is. But what about an offer? Once Chet, let's live in a hypothetical world. Milwaukee does not trade Giannis.
Okay.
Right? And Giannis starts the season on the Milwaukee Bucks. You're right. You're 100% right, E. The best offer for Milwaukee is Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is just not going to just give everything up to get Giannis. That's how smart Sam Presti is. That's why he's the best general manager in the NBA. But let's just live in a crazy world that Giannis is on the Bucks to start the season. Let's say Chet Holmgren builds back up his equity. I would offer Chet Holmgren. I would offer, let's say hypothetically they re-signed all their free agents. I would offer Chet Holmgren. I would offer Lou Dort, and I would offer like 4 first-round picks. And they could have, and I will offer maybe another guard. If they want something like that, they could have that, and I'll take Giannis. And you put Giannis on there with Isaiah Hartenstein, SGA, Case and Wallace, like you said, Mitchell or McCain, whatever one is left. We know Sam Presti can draft. We already know that. The man drafted Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Jalen Williams. Like he's good with that, let alone the other great picks he hit, Serge Ibaka. So my point is that team, if we trade Chet for Giannis, to me, that's the best deal for both parties.
I mean, if you think about it too, from OKC, aren't you a little worried about Jalen Williams' hamstrings concerns? He missed 3 separate occasions this year with hamstring issues, and that's something as a basketball player is essential, right? And John, I mean, you played at a college level. I don't know if you ever had a hamstring injury. I know you had an Achilles, but planting off of that, it's not things that just miraculously get better. And I think if Milwaukee was to trade for Jalen, they could load manage him. They could make sure that he's right. I mean, and I would be interested to see him as a number 1 option. He's 25 years old. He's due $247 million over the next 5 years. So he could be that franchise caliber player. I mean, it's kind of like what Houston did with Harden, right? Houston took a chance on a 6-man, and then he ended up being the best scorer in the NBA for a 5-year stretch. And I'm not saying that Jalen Williams would be that, but I think Jalen Williams gives you a higher ceiling. So that's the incentive for Milwaukee. Chet Holmgren has finished top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year voting back-to-back years. He had a really bad series, and Wemby owns him. But can you say that really anybody else in the NBA can kind of get the best of Chet like that? He fits in with the defensive mindset that OKC has. I just don't think that they would trade him.
But Eric, that's the problem. The Spurs are going to be back. Wembanyama is going to be there. You're going to have. Are you
sure about this? I'm in the camp that I think the Spurs get over this, but sports media that says, "Oh well, Reggie Miller never made it back to the finals. Chris Paul never made it back to the finals. Will Wemby get back to the finals?"
Yeah, but that's a possibility. But my thing is, in the Western Conference, the Oklahoma City Thunder are eventually going to have to see Wembanyama and the Spurs. And if I got a guy that I don't know how you're going to be when we see that guy, I'm really concerned because I got to go through that guy to get back to the finals.
Yeah.
And all those guys, you mentioned Reggie Miller, you mentioned Chris Paul, and the other guys that you mentioned, they lost the all-time generational teams. And
they were also in their 30s when this happened. I was just doing a dumb clip that sports media does to try to make a point.
No, you good, bro. But I'm just saying, they also lost the all-time generational teams. They lost to Jordan Bulls beat them. Shaq, Kobe, Lakers beat them. Reggie Miller lost to both in the Eastern Conference Finals in '98 and the 2000 NBA Finals. So my point is that, and then Chris Paul lost to the Dynastic Warriors. He lost to Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson. I don't think it might be a few teams. You might can count all the teams in NBA history. You might can count on one hand how many teams could really beat that team in a series, let alone a game in a series. So it's no shade in that.
Let me go back to you, JG, though. You said if you're facing them again, you just took them to 7 without Jalen Williams. You think and I don't think Chet ever plays a series that bad again where he takes 2 shots. You think if they have Giannis, that series goes 7? Because they got to 7 without Jalen Williams.
I understand like not having Jalen Williams. Oklahoma City you can make a legit argument that OKC probably gets to the finals if they're fully healthy. I'm not going to push back. But my thing is, I saw an entire series when Chet against that guy looked totally different. That to me concerns me. And I'm speaking like just, former athlete, play basketball, all that stuff. If I see that from a guy, that I own this guy, yeah, psychologically, like that can really hold you back. So I know the one thing I know about Giannis, he's not afraid. He'll run through a brick wall against anybody. He'll run at Wemby and try to dunk on him every time. That aggression alone is what I need, because you get Wemby down in foul trouble. You attack him. I don't have to worry about a guy where it's like, hey, is my mental okay against this one player? That's why I would be really concerned, and I would consider if I could get Giannis for Chet Holmgren. That's one thing I would consider.
For the record, I agree with you guys. I just don't think Milwaukee would trade for Chet as the centerpiece.
Yeah, and I understand.
But to me, my bad, Jay, cut you off. The centerpiece is not necessarily Chet; it's the draft picks. I think any trade that they do is going to be centered around. And think about this.
But their picks are going to be later, though. I think you have to have that.
No. I mean, yeah, and I want some picks in the future, but I want 12 and 27. I mean, I want 12 and 17 now. Oh, you give me that right now. That's the only way we talk. I want 12. I want 17 in this draft. I want a first next year. I want a first next year. And part of my language, shit, if I can get a first the following year and the following years after that, give me that too. I want in this draft, because we all think that this draft is generational. Let me say this. There are names, and we talk with JG and I, more likely than not to do a mock draft at some point during this show, or talk about the NBA draft at some point in time during this show. But there are names in the second round that I'm looking at. I'm like, damn, how is that not a first round pick?
I mean, this is a deep draft. This is one of the deepest drafts in a while.
So I want 12. I want 17. I'm definitely gonna get 3 picks out you. Now, if I can get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, you dumb enough to give that, fine. But I'm getting 12 and 17 off rip. And I'm saying, to me, obviously, Giannis is not going to be on the Bucks next year. The example I gave you was obviously facetious. I think Giannis. So I said that he will go to the Celtics. All the reports that I'm reading says is likely Miami. So I'll speak on if he goes to Miami. The problem, I don't really like the Miami thing. The problem I have with Miami is that, okay, you're trading Tyler Hero. You're putting Giannis with Bam. You're putting Giannis with Bam and Norman Powell. Okay, like
you're gonna be what, at best 5th seed in the East?
Yeah, like are you okay? Let's do this. Are they better than the Knicks? No. Are they better than the Pistons?
No. In a series, I could see them beating them, but maybe not over the course of 82 games.
I'm gonna put a question mark about it. I agree with you, currently constructed, but I think the Pistons will make a move, or make moves to try to improve their team. Are they better than the Cavaliers? Yes, because the Cavaliers had James Harden. If you have James Harden, you are not trying to win a championship. I learned that the hard way by picking the Clippers when he was with the Clippers. No disrespect to you, James. I love you, but you love the hoop, and I respect that. So, I mean, yeah, they could be a top 4 seed, but I put it like this. I don't think they could win the East. I don't necessarily think they could win the NBA championship. I'll put it that way.
And I mean, the thing is, like, I think whatever team trades for Giannis, he will be load managed at some point throughout the season. Like I said, he's coming off multiple calf injuries. He's going to be 32 years old. You're trading for him because you think you can win a championship or at least be a contender, and you're not going to play him 82 games for that. So that's why I was saying, like, over the course of the season, Miami could be a 4th or 5th seed and then be a really bad matchup for a team in the playoffs. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think I'm with you, Josh. Like, him going to Miami wouldn't move the needle at all.
Yeah,
I think Boston is the team that moves the needle for me. Like, you're telling me, I think it fits better with Tatum. Jaylen Brown wants his team. He can say all this stuff about how he wants his own team. Like, he just came out saying this is his favorite year. You don't just he's too smart and too intelligent to say some of the stuff he says and not know what effect that's going to have. So when he said that, I was like, okay. So if I'm Brad Stevens, why don't I explore getting Jaylen Brown his own team, and why don't I get an attacking big that can give the Spurs an offensive? The Celtics an offensive punch in their front line, and allow Tatum to let it be his team with Giannis. And I think that would be, honestly, I feel like that would pay off for Boston immensely. I think they would my opinion, they would be my favorites, to win the East, even over
I think the Celtics are looking at that, but then if you strike out on Giannis, then you deal with an unhappy Tatum or Jaylen Brown. That's like, okay, you tried to trade me, and then you have to get rid of him, and you won't be able to get full value because you've lost leverage. Yeah, but I mean, John, I'm with you. Like, if they could make that work, I think that works for both parties, and salaries would match up too.
That was one of my predictions on last week's show, episode 88. I predicted that I had 3 predictions. Giannis would get traded to the Boston Celtics. Anthony Davis will get traded to the Golden State Warriors.
I like that.
The third pick, I'm trying to remember, what was the third?
Oh, wait, what do the Wizards get?
That's a good question. So for me, because I still think the Wizards are, I know they have Trae Young, but to me, they're still in rebuild mode. I would take, Golden State would trade a first or something like that, and you would get Jimmy Butler.
And
Jimmy Butler is an expiring contract. Not like 1 or 2 years.
I'm thinking Podziemski or Jimmy Butler would have to be involved with that deal.
Yeah, you got Jimmy Butler has to be in the trade because the money will have to. That's the only way the money will work.
Moses Moody does.
Moses Moody's probably the only person I would want. I would not want Pods. I would not want Pods at all.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of him.
Because Anthony Davis has an expiring contract too. So the Jimmy Butler expiring contract doesn't mean really anything to us.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's a team option. I mean, I get your point. Like, the team has control, but more likely than not, the team is not going to opt out of that. If Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis, they're not going to opt out of that.
Yeah. What Anthony Davis is going to have a bounce back year. Think about when has he ever been able to fully rest? He's always been on a championship contender where they push him to play through injuries. They did it on Dallas. He did it with the Lakers. He had to play the 5 there. The one season Kristaps Porzingis played with the Wizards, he played 64 games. He hasn't played more than 45 in his last 8 years besides that one season. The Wizards rested Anthony Davis. We're going to have him be at the 4. He was averaging 20-11 and 2 blocks before he got hurt. Anthony Davis is going to have a bounce back year.
And I actually can see that because Anthony Davis's best years is when he was not the center. You remember that 2020 Lakers team? Yeah, you had
Dwight Howard.
You had Dwight Howard. You had JaVale McGee. Guys to really take care of, defensively, especially going against the likes of Jokic or other bigs and everything. So Anthony Davis could be more of a roaming defender but honestly, I think he's at his best defensively when he can roam and come and help as opposed to being a primary defender on a center. So if the Wizards can replicate that, you have a better chance of getting the best out of AD.
Yeah. And he can shoot the 3. He's developed his game to the point where he can. I mean, if you're looking at the Wizards lineup, the 1 through 5 can all spread the floor. Sar can shoot the 3. AD can shoot the 3. I mean, you might say Koulibaly is the worst 3-point shooter on the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I had my 3 picks, 3 predictions, off-season predictions. Giannis would get traded to the Celtics. The Thunder would sign a big man that can stretch the floor, so a big man that can shoot, because they saw the Knicks win the championship, and I'm going back to John's point. The Thunder know at some point in time they're going to have to play the Spurs. So the best way to get Wemby out the paint is to have a big that can shoot at the 3-point line to get him out of the paint, Karl Anthony Towns, etc. So I think the Thunder assigned a big man that can shoot. And the last one was Anthony Davis get traded to the Warriors. I mean, get traded to the Warriors, but obviously, Eric, you're a Wizards fan. You don't like Jimmy Butler return. You only want maybe Jimmy Butler and Moses Moody.
Wouldn't do that either. I'm looking up their picks right now because that doesn't make the Wizards better at all, in my opinion.
I think they would trade for them, maybe just offload them, just say let them sign with a contender or whatever. I doubt that they would even stay with the Wizards with that trade.
Yeah, if they trade went through. So for me, I get the Wizards are trying to make the playoffs next year, but I think the Wizards' future, to me, is what should be most important. Not necessarily because we have AD and we have Anthony Davis. I mean, we have Anthony Davis as AD, Anthony Davis and Trae Young. We think we can make the playoffs. That's my thing. I'm valuing the future more than I'm valuing Anthony Davis and Trae Young, because when the Wizards get actually good, they're not going to be there.
Here's the thing. I would trade Anthony Davis for 2 future firsts because the Warriors have their own first the next 5-6 years. They haven't traded many draft picks. And for Moses Moody, and if you want to say Jimmy Butler for salary cap purposes.
Okay.
Because what I think is the Warriors could be good the next year or two if something happens to Steph, or if their roster and their depth is very, very thin. So if they were to get hurt and have a down year like Indiana, and then the Clippers get their pick at number 5. The Wizards could then stumble into another lottery pick from AD, which once again is great asset management to trade low for AD, build up his value, sell high, and then get another potential top 5, top 10 pick.
I like that. Go ahead, Jay.
My friend, before we get you out of here, can we transition to football for a little bit?
Let's do it.
Your San Francisco 49ers, they're in what I think could be the toughest division in football again next year with the reigning Super Bowl champion Seahawks. Obviously, the LA Rams, who are favorites like crazy to go to the Super Bowl, to have a home game in the Super Bowl, actually, after just getting Myles Garrett. But you guys did pick up Mike Evans, at wide receiver for the Niners, which I thought was a sneaky big pickup. Mm-hmm. Where do you see your 49ers stacking up in this division as we enter into the NFL offseason?
I mean, look, it's going to be a tough division, right? And all three teams made it there last year, and all 3 teams made it to the divisional round. And then obviously we got embarrassed by Seattle. I think the 49ers did not address their biggest need, which was the offensive line. We always bank on Trent Williams being the same year in, year out, and just adding weapons, but that doesn't give Brock Purdy more time and protection. On paper, we have a good team, but I mean, we're an old team, right? Like, I know Kittle's coming back ahead of schedule with his surgery, but you still don't like a partially torn Achilles, and he's had multiple lower body injuries. Mike Evans just had his probably most injury-plagued season. McCaffrey's just coming off a 350-plus touch season. Pearsall can't stay healthy. I think we're a good team on paper, but I think that injury bug is going to hit, and we're traveling the most miles out of any team next season. The trip to Melbourne doesn't help.
Yes, yeah, starting off in freaking Australia, week 1 definitely doesn't help either. That's insane.
Yeah, we have a game in Mexico City. So the 49ers are going to set an NFL single season record by traveling over 38,000 miles and crossing 58 different time zones across 3 countries. Like that takes a toll on you, especially for a team that has played extra games in a lot of seasons, whether you're reaching the Super Bowl, the divisional round. Yep. I'm a pessimistic fan until proven otherwise, so I'd be happy to be wrong, but I think the outlook is a little bit more bullish than what the reality is going to be.
Do they still make the playoffs, or do you see them struggling to get there based on everything you were just telling me?
7 teams make the playoffs, and I think there's enough teams that are weak in the NFC that we could sneak in as a 7th seed because we have a pretty good strength of schedule this year. But I don't think at all we're going to win the division. I don't think at all. And you get in the playoffs and anything can happen, right? And NFL is so much, are you healthy versus the team that you're playing? But I think constructed now will be like a 6 seed maybe.
Yep.
Gotcha. So I'm going to ask you guys, this both, obviously, to both of you guys. When I say the word great, it's obviously subjective. So you guys can agree or disagree, that's fine. And I'll get to why I'm asking this in a second. So do you guys, obviously, I think you both guys consider Nick Bosa to be great, right?
Yeah. I mean,
let's say very good to great. Nick Bosa is very good to great, right?
He's coming off his 3rd torn ACL, so we'll see. But historically, yeah, he's been great.
Historically, yeah, he's been great. And you would say Brock Purdy is very good to great. I don't think he's great, but let's just say he's very good. You would say that, right?
QB 10 to 12, yeah.
10 to 12. Okay. JG, what about you?
Yeah, I would give him that top 15 quarterback for sure.
Top 15 for sure. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Whether you 12, let's say, because anybody from 10 to 15, I think you can debate. To me, lists are all subjective, really, in essence.
Sure.
It's about who you like, who you favor, who you look at. To me, I respect John Lynch. I respect the hell out of Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan should get a lot of credit. Kyle Shanahan, the coach, should get a lot of credit.
All right. Well, now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, because you know where I'm going. Kyle Shanahan, the general manager, and John Lynch, the general manager. The reason why the 49ers are not up there with the Rams, and think about this, the Rams and the 49ers are the same. They don't have they trade picks, they try to maneuver to get picks, but the difference is the Rams hit on that late round picks, the 49ers don't. The reason why I asked you guys that, the last very good, the great player that the 49ers drafted was in 2022. It's 2026. They drafted the brother in the 7th round. His name is Brock Purdy. He was a 262 pick in the draft. Mr. Irrelevant. I just want to go over the draft that they had in that year. In the second round,
why did you bring me onto this show just to twist the knife in something No, go ahead. I'm just messing with you, but Josh, I'm going to be fully in agreement with you. I'm just letting you know.
Drake Johnson, second round pick. Tryon Davis-Price, running back, third round pick.
Yep.
Danny Gray, third round pick. Spencer Bradford, who starts now in the offensive line.
Oh, but he's bad though.
Yeah, he's bad. And all right, you're 1,000% right, bro. The reason why I like the 49ers, I think they'll make the playoffs, but I can't be in love with them. You 100% right. They went out and signed Mike Evans. That's cool. That's great. You need to protect Brock Purdy so he can throw the ball to Mike Evans. Like, that would help tremendously. And then other than Trent Williams, the rest of the offensive line, you have question marks about. In that same draft class, they drafted Samuel Womack, cornerback in the 5th round. 6th round, offensive lineman Zach Zakinji, defensive tackle Kalia Davis. They drafted the corner Tyquan Crystal Fields, and then they drafted Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's probably in the offensive lineman is probably the only guy that's on the team. Yeah. So my point is that like John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, they have to draft well, and they haven't drafted well. You go to the 2023 draft. Woo! Go look at that draft. There's some misses in that draft. That whole draft class is a miss.
Can I just vent real quick?
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
All right. So I'm not even going to give him credit for Mike Evans. Mike Evans gave them a ridiculous discount because he wanted to be in an offensive-friendly one. Like, that's one where the 49ers should be blessed. Same thing with Nick Bosa, right? They got the number one guy that was supposed to go that draft, but because Arizona had number one and Cliff Kingsbury coached Kyler Murray in college, that was just a pure coincidence. And I'm going to give them some credit for their late round picks of Kittle, of Fred Warner, of Brock Purdy, but they traded 3 picks for Trey Lance, who wasn't even. It was T-Law and Fields were 1 and or T-Law and Zach Wilson were 1 and 2, and then it was like are they trading for Fields? Are they trading for Mac Jones? Are they trading for Trey Lance? So we mortgaged our future for not even a clear-cut player. We take running backs in the 3rd round who never pan out. We took Jake Moody in the 3rd round, and we go against the grain. We don't go, and I'm not saying that they need to listen to outsiders' evaluations, but they have so much ego that they think that they're smarter than everybody else, and their process hasn't worked. And instead of doing things like shoring up the offensive line, we reach for guys that we think are going to fit the system, but aren't the best players. And that's why we don't have this young talent. We're banking on aging veterans. We don't have like good young players.
I agree. I agree with you 1,000%. You would know the team. That's your team. You know the team better than I do. But to me, I look at 3 things to define the team: organizational structure, head coach, and acquisition/trades. If your trades are good and your acquisitions are bad, and what I mean by that is draft. You have to, in order to be a good team in today's marketplace, you have to hit on cheap labor. And the cheapest labor you can hit on is the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, the highly opinionated draft. You have to win on the draft. If you don't draft well, you're not going to be successful. Amen. That is a simple point blank period for every sports league. You mentioned a point about, I know I'm crossing sports. You mentioned a point about a player in the NBA that should have been traded. Me and John was on here 2 years ago. It's a guy in Memphis. He was throwing up gun signs. And I'm like, bro, let's get him up out of here. Memphis still got him. They not going to get 50 cents for the dollar. They're going to get 25 cents because they kept John Morant too long. You have to draft well. You have to manage well. If you don't do that, you will be a shitty organization.
Unfortunately,
you will be a stopgap on where you go. Now, the 49ers are not a bad organization, but the 49ers could be up there with the Rams as the favorite in the NFC if they drafted well, because they have everything that the Rams have. Maybe Matthew Stafford and Brock Purdy, I get that. But everything else, they have. They just don't have the draft. The Rams hit late in the draft. The 49ers don't. They don't hit at all in the draft, really.
Yeah. We should have at least 1 Super Bowl. I think there would be a lot of and I understand we've made it there twice. We lost to the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, but you're not going to remember the runners up. You're like the 49ers when you have the history you do. Super Bowls are the goal, and to come up short because of play calling or because you don't have the personnel, like you saw what the Eagles did to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. That's what the 49ers should have done. Great pass rush, not blitzed, had a good enough offense. But because we didn't have some of this young talent, because we traded out of picks or whatever, we just came up short.
John, let me say this. Eric, I'm not trying to piss you off. It's going to sound like I am, but I'm not. I'm just being real. I like to be factual with sports fans and be real. John, there's a fan base in Texas that has won their Super Bowl more recently than the San Francisco 49ers. That would be the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys won the Super Bowl in 1996. The 49ers won their Super Bowl in 1995. Just want to put things in its proper perspective. Cowboys get a hard time. Both teams are what they are. They are great organizations that need to get over the next step and win the big game.
Oh no, don't lump us with the Cowboys. I don't even hate the Cowboys.
I was gonna say, look, I understand your the fact.
Now, y'all know I'm telling the truth. Y'all know
at least the Niners went to the Super Bowl in recent.
I understand that, but it doesn't
out there.
Eric so eloquently said, we don't remember runners up. We don't remember runners up.
Hey,
John, we remember because we were in Miami. So yeah, I remember the Super Bowl because I was there. I got that. But I'm saying, let's put it like this, John. The Super Bowl was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. You wouldn't have won, so I wouldn't have won either. My point is that it was in Miami. So you're going to remember stuff in Miami a lot more than anywhere else. So that to me has a lot more of that than the actual game. It was a great game though. All I'm saying is that these are two marquee organizations. They have not won a Super Bowl since the 90s.
John, you and I are just ready to disagree with him so hard.
I'm just like, I can't put the Niners in there with the Cowboys because like the playoff success alone, taking out the Cowboys in embarrassing fashion in recent history, and then at least making the appearance in the Super Bowl. I'm with you. We get into it with LeBron James fans all the time. Oh, we got to the finals 10 times. I'm like, okay, well, how many did he win?
So why does that logic not work?
Nobody cares about second. Nobody's gonna remember second place.
Yeah, so why does that logic not work?
I mean, the Cowboys haven't even made it to an NFC championship since they made it back. Like, if you want to say they haven't even made it to the Final Four teams.
Okay, all right. Let me say this. In Cowboy defense, they should have, because Dez Bryant caught the ball.
Okay, so you're going to talk about 1 year, though.
Oh, yeah, but that 1 year would have mattered. They would have been in the conference championship game, and they would have never had to hear about them not having been since 96.
Here's the thing. The Cowboys will never be good till Jerry Jones is no longer with the organization. Because the way they botch stuff, like Dak Prescott's contract, where they just kept kicking it down the curb, and then 4 days before the morning of the season starts, they pay him the most money for a quarterback ever.
I've never seen it in my life. We have game one to do this.
That's just organizational malpractice there. I can say the 49ers aren't that bad. And I'm all for trashing my team.
No, you're 1,000% right. Okay, let me put it like this. Just because you take the main street and just because I take the back roads, we can still get to the same destination the same way. What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, they are marquee organizations that have not won a Super Bowl. And we look at one like one is substantially better than the other. Yes, in the grand scheme of it, the 49ers have been in NFC championship games. They made the playoffs probably more times than the Cowboys during that time. I get that. But I don't look at I feel like we looking at the 49ers like they the Texans. Like, no, this is the Giants, the 49ers, the Steelers, the Packers, the Bears. They're marquee franchises in the league. The league is better when they're good. I want the 49ers to be good. I have friends that are 49ers fans, including you, Eric. I want the 49ers to be good. I like the addition of Mike Evans. But again, if you don't do what you're supposed to do in all aspects of building the team up, improving the team, eventually that's going to show. I tell John this all the time. In the biggest moments, that's what show, Eric, your biggest flaws. Not your biggest strengths. Your biggest flaws shows in the biggest moments because you can't hide your biggest flaws. You can hide your biggest strengths. You can't hide your biggest flaws. If you're scared of somebody, guess what? I don't want to put this on Chet, but I'm going to use Chet. Chet Holmgren looked scared against women. Guess when it showed? Game 7. The world was watching. The biggest moment, your biggest flaws are shown. The 49ers.
Gosh, you're good. You're a good debater. I'm gonna give you that. We can disagree about the Cowboys 49ers because I think the blueprints are a little bit different there. Like,
yes, you're right.
Yeah, because so much of NFL is year to year, right? Are you healthy? What's your strengths of schedule? I mean, if the Chiefs lose Mahomes, they're a completely different team. So one player can completely change it from that. But the fact that the Cowboys, for all of the talent they've had, the coaching in and outs they've had, like they haven't even made it to a conference championship game. You got to look at owner up from down there. And that's
I honestly put out a thing about the 49ers compared to the Buffalo Bills. Like, they got to the Super Bowl, but they haven't been able to win in a while. Now, obviously, it's different. Buffalo has never had a championship. But just like the talent and getting to Super Bowl, getting to the conference championship consistently, I kind of like.
And then losing to Mahomes.
Yeah, and lose to a great freaking player. Like, I mean, I don't put shame on that. You're losing to like one of the greatest quarterbacks you've ever seen. So I don't put a lot of like, blame on that. Like, I mean, the last Super Bowl, it came down to Mahomes making a ridiculous amount of plays. Like, it wasn't the Niners, I thought, had it, but Mahomes just did some. He did some.
Josh, I'm gonna use your point because I gave you this. You're a great debater. Your biggest flaws are exposed in the biggest stages, and Kyle Shanahan play calling in the Super Bowl when they have a lead, they need to close out a game. That's when the flaws come out. He's a great first quarter quarterback. There's a stat, and I want to pull it up. I think Kyle Shanahan has been outscored like 38-7 in the last fourth quarter of the last 3 Super Bowls, something like that.
Yikes.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons that was up 28-3 against the New England Patriots. And somewhere some kids are wearing Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl 51 championship t-shirts that do not actually exist. Thanks to Kyle Shanahan, he did not do the right thing. So Eric, I agree with you 1,000%. Go ahead, bro.
This is the stat. In the last 3 Super Bowls, Kyle Shanahan teams have been outscored 48-7 in the fourth quarter and overtime.
Not gonna win that way. As I said, man, thank you. I appreciate. Listen, I'm gonna let you adopt that line. My guy Eric, he's the only one that can say when the biggest moments, your biggest flaw show. I appreciate that, brother. That means the world to me. All right, we're gonna get you out of here on this. Usually I ask people sports questions, but you've been on the show all day, so I just need to say this. And me and John feel this way. I can't speak for John, but I'll speak for John for this. We feel this way, sir. We need you and your friend, your brother, and the crew that you guys had at Triple Play Fantasy. We guys need you back on the airwaves. You know sports very, very well, very knowledgeable, very adaptable, know how to get in and out of conversation. So, sir, listen, I'm looking forward to Triple Play Fantasy coming back. I'm demanding that it comes back.
Let me tell you, it wasn't my decision, man. We talked about Father's Day, right? I don't know if any of you guys got kids. That changes a lot, and that was the big thing for us is people in their mid 30s starting to settle down, have families, and it just it's a tough priority to keep. But I'm not gonna say never. We have all the hard work done, right? Like we already have the social media handles. We have this StreamYard account. We're an LLC. Like we're actually an official company. So it's really just, hey, you got some time? Yep. All right, you want to start this thing back up? So never going to say never, but probably not this year.
Well, let me say this. All right, listen, very knowledgeable. Like I said, if you ever want a place where you want to, you ever want a place where you could unload your sports takes, Highly Opinionated is the place for you, man. Great knowledgeable, man. Enjoy talking to you. You're a hell of a guy. Good luck with everything that you have going on, man. And we appreciate you for coming on the show, bro.
Likewise. Let me know. I'm always down to come back in the future.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Highly Opinionated. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of Highly Opinionated is sponsored by Wolves of War. In some of the episodes, you can see my co-host and Ross wearing a brand called Wolves of War. Wolves of War is our first sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, and we are so thankful to have those guys sponsoring Highly Opinionated. Thank you very much. The actual meaning of Wolves of War is that it represents having a strong path behind you through the battles of life. With the right people behind you, you can get through anything. You guys see the link for Wolves of War? Make sure you guys click on the link, shop, great apparels, t-shirts, sweatsuits, whatever you want, they have. Once again, Wolves of War. Make sure you guys go shop. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Highly Opinionated. JG, we're going to end the show with the best segment in sports. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time. Let's talk about it. This week's edition of Let's Talk About It, the 2026 NBA Draft Preview. Before we get started on the actual draft preview, there was some breaking news in the NBA. Trae Young has re-signed with the Washington Wizards. 4 years, $212 million. As you guys can see on the screen, his contract is broken down. 2026, 2027, he'll make $47.3 million. 2027, 2028, he'll make 51.1. 2028, 2029, he'll make 54.9 million. And 2029, 2030, which is a player option, he can make $58.7 million. So JG, your thoughts on Trae Young re-signing with the Washington Wizards, and how does this affect the number one pick going into the NBA draft?
It makes sense. I don't think Trae Young, if I'm being honest, had a big market out there as a free agent. I didn't really see him having a ton of suitors. I think he fits well with what the Wizards are trying to do here. It gives him a point guard, ball handler / great shooter. This is a guy that averages 25 points and nearly 9 assists in the past handful of years with the Atlanta Hawks. So this is good for the Wizards. It also tells me clearly what I believe the number one pick will be for the Wizards. It gives me more of a clear indication. I didn't think there was a question for it, but I think there's even more of a clear indication of where they're going. I think they will go with AJ DeBonsa in the draft at number one, to have that small forward / that versatile 3-4 combo guard that you can really put everywhere on the floor, especially defensively. And this is the beginning of a crucial summer for the Washington Wizards. For the first time in quite a while, there's some intrigue with this franchise. There is, dare I say, a little bit of excitement for DC fans who have been starving for something to cheer for, quite frankly, for God knows how many years, since the John Wall and Bradley Beal years. I think this is the beginning of giving them something to cheer for. But am I ready to say that they're going to make a run, at the championship or anything like that? No, I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to be that crazy. But they should be well improved, going into the season with the young core they have, with Carrington, with George, with Alex Sarr, and of course you throw Anthony Davis in there, assuming that he stays with the team. There's some intrigue on with this team, so it's you start to imagine what's they're going to look like now that you're dropping AJ DeBonsa in there with Trae Young, with Anthony Davis. Now, who knows what else could be going on behind the woodwork? This new GM, this new front office of the Wizards has proven they're trying to take the Oklahoma City route in a way, whereas they're really trying to build through the draft and add savvy veterans that make sense, that fit with this team. But you can see the road that they're pushing to. And for the first time, it looks like, the first time in a while, in my opinion, it looks like it's going in the right direction. Now, I'm interested to see who's going to be coaching the Wizards going forward. I think that's important as well. But this Trae Young move definitely signals to me that AJ DeBonsa will be their number one pick.
I agree with that. I think AJ DeBonsa will be the number one pick for the Washington Wizards. Two things can be true. I like the Wizards' plan. They overpaid for Trae Young. Trae Young's not worth $47.3 million, 51.1, 54.9, 58.7. The two things can be true. Again, I like the plan, but they overpaid for him. Now, when they traded for him, they probably, wink, wink deal. When you trade for someone, we're going to re-sign you. So I got it. But as you said, why would they give him $212 million when he didn't have a market? To me, that made no sense. I was saying numbers around, 3 for 1 something, 121, 125, 130. You got 4 for 2. Let me just make sure I get the number right. You got 4 for 212. 4 years for 212. So I did the math. Trae Young played in 5 games for the Wizards. I did 212 divided by 5. So he got 40. So in those 5 games, he made $42.4 million in those 5 games because he played 5 games for the Wizards. So he got that money. He earned that money. Come on, man. That's crazy. Absurd. They just giving money out. Like, damn, y'all just want to give money out. Holla at your boy. I talk to y'all.
I think, the Wizards are, they're paying Trae Young for what they believe they can give him. They believe that he can give what he was giving in Atlanta. Again, this guy was averaging 25 points and nearly 9 assists a game. It's not nothing to sneeze at. This guy is a perennial all-star when he's healthy. The market for the level of player Trae Young is what I'm saying. Like, that doesn't totally surprise me, especially in today's NBA. If you're a perennial all-star like Trae Young and you're putting up the numbers that he is, I know he's definitely a liability on defense. I got you there. But I think the Wizards are paying him for what they believe they will give him going forward, not for what he's done.
No, I'm not knocking them for going out to make the move. I like Trae Young. Now, he's an all-star, in my opinion, in the East. Like, if you put him in the West, he's not an all-star.
Well, the Wizards in the East, he'll be fine.
Huh?
I mean, the Wizards are in the East, so I mean,
yeah. I mean, they deserve it. I mean, I shouldn't say deserve it. They've earned to be in the Eastern Conference. I bet you they won't. I tell you what, when the NBA do switching them damn conferences, the Wizards will never ask to go to the Western Conference. They're gonna keep their ass right in the Eastern Conference, as they should. They are on the Eastern Coast. They are on the East Coast. So I got that. But my point is that I felt like they a little bit overpaid for Trae Young. Trae Young is a very good player. He can be in my opinion, on a championship team, he could be a 2 or 3. So depending on who your 1 and your 2 is. So I like the move for the Wizards. I like the plan that they have. Just think they slightly overpaid for Trae Young. Now with AJ DeBasa, to me, this just solidifies he will be the number one. He will be the number 1 pick. Very hard for me to think they're going to take Darren Peterson at the number 1 pick. They literally just gave a point. They literally just gave someone that plays his position $212 million. So we both expect AJ DeBasa to be the number 1 pick. Do you think Darren Peterson will be the number 2 pick?
I think he will be at worst number 2. Like I don't know why I feel this way, but I think Caleb Wilson. You know, everyone's got him going number 4 to Chicago, but this is like the guy with the highest ceiling, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, you know, he's still scratching the surface, in my opinion, but. You know, I just don't think it's a clear number 2 that Darren Peterson. Now, Darren Peterson is going to be a top 5 pick. You know, I'm not going to slide him, but so far, but I don't think it's a lock that Darren Peterson's going to go to Utah. It's more likely, but you know, keep your eyes on Caleb Wilson. That's all I would say.
Okay, I'm not mad at that at all. You know how I feel about Caleb Wilson. I think pound for pound, he's the best player in the draft. I like Cam Boozer. I think Cam Boozer is the most skilled player in the draft. He has some Jokic, some Tim Duncan in his game, feet work. Ability to pass, ability to he's a better defender than Nikola Jokic. So more of the dunking round for that part, passing compliments of both of them. So for me, I think the NBA draft starts at number 5. I'm looking at the Clippers. I think the Wizards are going to select AJ DeBasa. The Jazz, more likely than not, will select Peterson. I think the Grizzlies will have to decide between Caleb Wilson and Cam Boozer. Whoever they don't decide, the Bulls will take it forward. So to me, the draft starts at 5. And this is why all these trades, all these star players that could be traded is phenomenal to me. To me, the draft starts at 5, but it really starts with Giannis. If Giannis gets traded, let's do 2 hypotheticals. Let's do your hypothetical first. If Giannis gets traded to the Miami Heat, what does Boston do with Jaylen Brown? Because it's just hard for me to think Jaylen Brown going to want to come back to that situation knowing that you tried to trade him twice. Now, what you can say is, bro, we tried to trade you for generational type players. We tried to trade you in 2022 for Kevin Durant, and now we try to trade you for Giannis. They're both generational Hall of Fame type players. We understand, but they're finals MVPs, regular season MVPs. We know what they represent. So what do the Boston Celtics do with Jaylen Brown? I saw rumors and reports that Jaylen Brown could be shipped to LA, to the Clippers. So, okay, if Jaylen Brown gets shipped to the Clippers, then what does that mean for Kawhi Leonard? Is Kawhi Leonard staying with the Clippers, or is he going to Miami? Is he going to – I saw a report that Kawhi Leonard, Golden State is interested in Kawhi Leonard. So, to me, all these dynamics have to drop before we decide. But to me, the draft starts with Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Clippers pick at 5 because we basically know the top 4 order. It's just how they are selected. Whether it's Cam Boozer, Caleb Wilson, AJ DeBasa, and Darren Peterson. However that order is, they're going to be the top 4 picks. To me, the draft starts at 5.
Yeah, that's a good point. Jaylen Brown and Giannis Antetokounmpo can very well shift the dynamic of this draft, but the power balance in each conference. If the Celtics were to get their hands on Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think Boston would be the best team in the Eastern Conference, and I would pick them to come out of the East next year. If Jaylen Brown finds his way to the Clippers, you know, we'll have to see what else they do here with the Clippers, but I think it would be a nice piece. I think it tells me that Kawhi Leonard is done in LA if they were to get their hands on Jaylen Brown. So this is why draft time is so fun, because you just don't know what's going to happen. Teams can make trades you don't see coming. And it could totally just shift how you think different teams going into the offseason. The expectations all of a sudden either skyrocket or plummet, depending on what's going to happen.
Absolutely. Every team has high hopes and high goals and high aspirations with the draft because it's basically the start of a new season. free agency is right after. Got the summer league. So definitely looking forward to the NBA draft. Looking forward to seeing how it plays out. JG, if I had to, we obviously know the big names in the draft. You got Darren Peterson, AJ DeBasa, Cam Boozer, Caleb Wilson, Keaton Wagler, Darius A. Cup Jr., Marquette Brown, Kingston Fleming, Nate Amin, Braden Barries, Jackson Lindenberg, Aiden Marr. So we understand those are the top 12, top 13 prospects. If you had one, I shouldn't say, let's use the phrase underrated prospect that you think can do well in this draft, who do you think it is? Who would it be, I should say?
Darius A. Cup Jr. I think he's not getting talked about enough for what kind of player he can be. I see a lot of Derrick Rose in this guy, just from like an attitude perspective. I see, and from an attitude perspective, like I'm a embarrass you type of attitude. Allen Iverson, when the guy has the ball in his hands, he's in attack mode. But now he's a better playmaker than AI ever was. But I think just from a mentality perspective, the way that he attacks, the way that he kind of carries himself on the court, I see a little bit of Iverson in there. I see some Derrick Rose in there. And I think that he's a prospect that now I think whoever team gets Darius A. Cup Jr. is going to get better. It has to be the right team. I would even say Memphis. We don't know what the Ja Morant situation is. Why would you we've been talking about Ja Morant for the past couple of years. Like Memphis kept him a year too long. They're trying to trade him. Milwaukee kept Giannis a year too long. Maybe people are saying that. I think Darius A. Cup Jr. would be good for Milwaukee and would be good for Memphis as well. If Memphis were to shock some people and then go with A. Cup Jr. at number 3, they're obviously projected to go with either Caleb Wilson or Cam Boozer. But I think Darius A. Cup Jr. would be a surprise in this top 5, but it would be a really good surprise. And I think he's the most underrated prospect, in my opinion, of the young stars that we've been talking about in this lottery.
Darius A. Cup Jr. Yeah, he was a scoring machine for Arkansas. He was the first Arkansas Player of the Year, first SEC freshman to win Player of the Year. So he was definitely sensational. Shout out to him. I'm gonna go a little bit. I should have made it more. I should have asked the question better. My bad. So that's my fault. I'm gonna go a little bit more underrated, under profile, underrated guy. I'm gonna go with Abuka Okori from Stanford, 6'1" freshman, 186 pounds, small guard, obviously being 6'1", but he can score the hell out the basketball. And I think if he goes to the right situation, you can see him do some work in the summer league. And I actually think he could be on the NBA roster and give you instant offense right off the bench. He averaged 23 last year for Stanford. Stanford lost. They didn't make the NCAA tournament. They lost in the crown, college basketball crown, the thing that Fox and FS1 has. They lost to West Virginia in that, but he played basically well all season. He had 34 points in that game. If he didn't play good, Stanford really didn't have a chance. So again, I understand he's undersized. I understand he's on the smaller side, but if you can score the basketball, they'll find a way to use you in the NBA, and they'll hide your liabilities if you can find a way to score. So I'm looking at Abuka Okori out of Stanford University. I'm looking at see where he goes. He might go late first round. He might go early in the second round. I think if he goes to the right team, right situation, he can definitely be a dynamic scorer for your team if your team decides to draft. Ladies and gentlemen, we're looking forward to the 2026 NBA draft. The 2026 NBA draft is Tuesday, June the 23rd. The draft will be 8 o'clock. The first round will be Tuesday, June 23rd. That will be 8 o'clock on ABC and ESPN. Kevin Nagandi, ESPN will have Malika Andrews. ESPN's coverage will have Malika Andrews, Tim Legler, Jay Billis, Andrea Carter, Bobby Marks, Lisa Salters, Sham Charania, and Fran Fraschilla on international players. ABC's coverage will have Kevin Nagandi, Jay Williams, Kenny the Jet Smith, and Richard Jefferson. They'll be interviewing the guys that get drafted on ABC. So looking forward to the draft coverage. First round of the NBA draft, Tuesday night on ABC and ESPN. The second round of the NBA draft will be Wednesday night, June 24th, 8 p.m. on ESPN. Catch yours truly and the guy JG on a Tuesday night draft special on Nothing But Net. JG and I are looking forward to that. Get to work with the great C. Perry and the great Midnight Rider, aka Ben. So we will be looking forward to that. We'll be there for most, if not the entire first round of the NBA draft. So check us out, the Sidelines Junkie Podcast Network, Tuesday night. Looking forward to it, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you guys for watching episode 89. For the best editor, the best producer, the best guy here on Highly Opinionated, Ross. For my guy, the host of the Club JG podcast, yours truly, JG. What you got in store for the folks this week, my brother?
Yeah, we're gonna have a live reaction from the NBA draft. Just how everything shook out. Hopefully, we'll have some news on Giannis Antetokounmpo and how that shakes the NBA going forward. And I'll go a little bit more in depth with the Dusty May sign in the Dallas and what it could mean for the future of not just NBA coaches but college coaches as well.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. Yes, Giannis, please let something happen. I told people that you would be traded by this time, and you have not been traded yet. So we are looking forward to you to be traded. I'm losing credibility here, Giannis. Come on now. Looking forward to the Club JG podcast, brother. You're always doing great work. Shout out to everything that you're doing over there. Whenever you need me, I'm here for you, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, I am merely Josh. We will see you next week for episode 90. We are out.